to the Shattered Ring. This is going to be a little bit different today, as I am going to basically be doing a voiceover post-recording. Yeah. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I kind of messed up the audio inputs for the original recording, so some of the stuff that I was saying, was doing, just kind of got lost, so yeah, I decided, okay, well, I recorded like an hour's footage here, so I'm going to make the best use of it that I can. This little recording for today is just basically me doing a little bit of exploring, running around in the dungeon and a catacomb which I found on a slightly earlier expedition. I did a little bit of running around and exploring before I started actually recording, and yeah, this will be basically just that small section where I actually have done some showing of whatever I'm doing. I'm not very good at doing this voiceover thing. Then again, I'm not very good at doing the talking thing either. But anyway, here is my first death of the video. Yeah. Me and my lack of foresight for this sort of thing. I realized after doing a little bit of running around and exploring that, you know, the game has all of these nice mechanics that Asian Half Squad packed into the mod pack, specifically to make it more of a dungeon-esque, dungeon crawl type game, which really is a lot of fun, but I just need to use the mechanics in place. Now, as you can see, they're just poking through its head through the door. It's not much of a good thing having lots of food and taking food with me, for the simple reason that the birds eat all the food before I even get to the dungeon. So that doesn't work. Other than that though, there are other means of healing oneself in the dungeon, such as obviously placing a campfire. So I decided at this point, you know what, let's stop being stupid. Let's make sure we take a bed to the camp or to whichever dungeon I'm exploring. Let's put little torches in my offhand so that I can place torches as I go, and also just get a little bit of extra lighting so I don't just fall in a hole or something stupid. Yeah, that was the plan at least. Some things had to be changed, as you'll see a little later in the video, but that plan of action did seem to work out quite well for part of the exploration. Now, this little section here, this little dungeon, it really does give good loot. I've run through these dungeons before in other mod packs. Typically you can find stuff like diamonds, heavily enchanted books, sometimes like really good enchanted weapons as well. But yeah, you have to really dungeon crawl your way through this thing to get that loot. Yeah. I unfortunately am not anywhere near that level right now. So at the moment, all I'm getting out of the dungeon is some basic loot, some basic foodstuffs. But yeah, this part of the expedition's just me doing a little bit of running around and wasting my resources, as you can see here. This is a very poor place to put my campfire. We did it anyway. So. Oh dear. Yeah. We'll move on, or skip to the next section of the of the little run through, where we actually start getting a little bit more loot. And here we go. Alright, so yeah, previously when we did go through this dungeon, we cleared out the first layer. Now, Like I said, this mod that one of the mods that Asian Half Squat is using here, I forget if it's Dungeon Crawl or Dungeons Immersed or whichever Dungeons mod there is, there's so many. But yeah, this one has layers. All the good stuff's at the bottom, like I said, but yeah, I'm nowhere near ready for that at this point. So I decided, you know what, layer 2 sounds like a nice place to start off. Set up our little campsite here. As you can see, a respawn point, so if I do die, I don't instantly lose all of my stuff. And also, as you can see here, if I take any damage, I can just run straight back, get healed up, and get back to dungeon crawling. Very nice. As you can see, I didn't do as good a job of protecting or filling in the torch gaps as I thought. It's always fun when you run through a dungeon, you suddenly realize, I didn't put as many torches down as I should have. Another one. Oh boy. Special sword attack, nice. Yeah. Now what I'm hoping to get at the end of this Let's Play for this particular mod pack is to have a nice set of full enchanted diamond armor and then maybe take on some proper dragons. That's a long ways off. I'm nowhere near trying to actually take on dragons just yet. They will cook me. There's a nice upgrade there, although my leather helmet did at least have enchants on it. This other chainmail thing doesn't really have any enchants. We'll see in the long term if it's a beneficial thing, or yeah. I'll probably also need to use an anvil for that enchanted book there. I think at the end of this whole period I had 2 of those enchanted books, so looking forward to turning those into some valuables. The one problem also with the way that I was doing the dungeon crawl previously, where I didn't set up a base camp on each layer, you just find so much stuff and you can never carry all of that with you. Just run back and forth between your house and wherever you are in the dungeon. It's very time consuming. But it appears we have learned from our mistakes and we are now making some progress. Although I don't know why I'm still spending so much time faffing over eggs and other little things that I really don't need to worry about. That one gave me a shock. I know there were mimic mods in this thing, but I wasn't evidently not paying enough attention. This chest's going to make a meal of me. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Also, it was at this point that I realized that I was being a little dumb. The mod also gives you a level up statistic or skill set that you can use. Now, it's a little difficult from what I've seen with my limited experience to get the required modifications or levels to level up, but yeah, the game does give you the option of empowering your character. As you can see, I decided, you know what, I'm dying too quickly, I need more health. As you can see here, this mimic is still making such short work of me. I'd hate to think how a dragon's gonna deal with me. Oh boy. Also, I'm gonna want to watch this recording back somewhere, because I don't know what happened, but this everlasting beef, which is another relic item, like my bunny slippers and the everlasting beef. I don't know what happened to that beef, but that beef steak went missing somewhere throughout this playthrough. So I'm gonna be looking for wherever I dropped this thing. I'm gonna go back and pick it up some point, because I am not happy that I dropped that. Like I said, seagulls love to pick up all of your normal food, so I really, really hope that I didn't leave it somewhere, or the seagull didn't pick it up and eat it. Anyway. Cue another montage of me failing to chop things with the right tool. Now the next little segment that we have here, yeah, as you can see I'm going to just be speeding this up because this section here is not really that interesting. It's just me running through the dungeon, grabbing the meager loot that I can find, and yeah, carrying on with existence. Like I said earlier, the top layers of these dungeons don't really have that much really good loot. I mean, you can get full iron from the first 2 layers fairly easily. I did find quite a bit of gold, so I'm planning on turning those into golden apples at some point. I see I can also get a few brewing stands, but those are useless until I find nether wart, so I won't be making any potions anytime soon. But as you can see, I'm still grabbing all the things that could be used for potion brewing. I did find some lava. I'll maybe highlight that in a section as we go through the whatever you call it, as we go through that section of the map. But one thing that I do want to look at while we're going through this little section here of just me doing maddeningly fast picking of things up, you'll hear as we go into this big room, there's this funny sound from this corner, and that bugs me. I do not know what is making that noise, and for all intents and purposes, I may have just walked into a boss room without knowing it. But as you can see, I left fairly quickly after I heard that noise. If anyone has any idea what made that noise, whether it's just ambience, like someone stepping on a wooden plank, or if that's the sound of some strange, unearthly beast coming out of the darkness, just maybe pop me a message so I know if I should go back. But anyway, on to the run through. Okay. Yeah, it was basically at this point here where I decided, you know what, I have got enough stuff. Yeah, as you can see here, I've basically filled up the chest that I've got here, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna have to carry all of this stuff back with me. So I said, no, we're gonna stop here, we're gonna take a short break on the hunting for things, I'm gonna just take all of our stuff home, and then we can do other things. But yeah, seeing we're gonna be, dropping off or whatever, just running backwards and forwards between house and home with the stuff that we have, yeah, I'm gonna cut the footage here. We'll come back once I've done all of the donkey's work for now. And we're back. Well, that's yeah, that was a little bit of a tedious thing one has to do to organize the stuff that you collect from dungeons, but that is now done. So, this little section of the video here is, well, like I mentioned earlier, we found a catacomb, or a catacomb-like dungeon that we could explore or investigate. Now, I wasn't really quite prepared for what I was getting myself into in this dungeon, but in essence, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's just, yeah, it's a little bit more challenging than the one which I was just in. Hopefully the loot's better. I was already getting some really nice loot from just the first room, but yeah, it's not really so far over from my main base, so I thought, you know what, I'm tired of doing the other miscellaneous little dungeon. Let's explore, let's see what this other dungeon has to show for itself. Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for what's coming up next. I do love the blue soul lanterns that they have next to this thing. Anyway, like I said, I did do some pre-exploring, so I did run into the catacomb, or into this first room. You actually get an achievement for being in this particular type of dungeon. I think there's several of these dungeons that just give you little achievements. Oh, looking back at this footage, I'm very embarrassed. Here's me wanting to go in here and like take on this dungeon. I'm struggling to deal with one spawner. But anyway, we persisted with this little section here. My main idea was that it's like each of these little sections that you can look at. We'll look at it again when I go back down, but each section for the catacombs has a small walkway that you can go down that leads into various little subsections or subparts of the catacomb. My thought was that, okay, we have catacombs. If there are these catacombs, I therefore should technically be able to create a little, how should I say, campsite spawn area, so that, hey, if I get killed, I can just drop straight back down here. I don't have to run back from my main base. Basically the same thing as what I did previously. This little open area here is actually quite a nice spot to set up a base camp. I was glad I did that. Because this would not have gone well if I had tried to do it the other way. Another thing that we had that I was able to pick up from this little dungeon was these skill books. Now, the skill books, from what I could tell, are, well, they come from the Epic Fight mod, basically allowing you to develop new skills or abilities by reading a book, basically. This one is basically the option to block. It's the whole thing, you have to get all these different skill books to learn basic moves. Turns out also, you'll see a little later on, that if you get killed after you've learned your skill, you have to relearn the skill by reacquiring the book. That's, I did not enjoy that function. That's gonna make my, it makes me a little sad knowing that I wasted that book, because, as you can most likely guess, I died a lot in this section. But I was encouraged by the appearance of a diamond shovel literally in the first room. That's encouraging. So I knew there was going to be good stuff down here. I just I was not ready. I was not ready for this difficulty spike. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. As you can see, difficulty spike. This was the point where I realized that I no longer had the ability to block. Oh boy. But I thought to myself, you know what, this would probably have a lot of good loot if I could just get past the zombies. The problem is, you see, I think that there's just a lot of spawners in these catacombs, so the more time you spend down there, the more zombies spawn in. Because you have more zombies, you, well, how should we say it? The more zombies you have, the the less chance you have of actually being able to handle all of the monsters that are down there. So, yeah, I kind of just ended up getting overwhelmed at this point, but you'll see. In spite of the fact that I'm, in essence, just getting slaughtered while I'm doing this, my genius plan, at least I thought it was genius at the time, was that, you know what, I cannot possibly fight my way through 50 plus zombies that have all just spawned in. I am going to try and be smart. Now, my definition of being smart was to try and, well, avoid the zombies, run down there and torch the whole place up so that no more zombies can spawn. Unfortunately, as you can see, my plan was not really so successful. The only real success I had there was that the zombies started killing each other. But I persisted for a little while longer to see if I could hopefully get myself to deal or block out the spawning to try and limit how many enemies I need to deal with. Got this spawner, I suppose. That's a win, right? I don't know how much of a win it is when the zombies spawn back in, they start smacking you the second they arrive. Oh dear. Here we go, trying to be all... oh, wow. Just look at the health melt under the continuous blows. Yeah. It was at this point I basically said, you know what, I should really rethink my strategy, because this is not working. But guys, this will basically be the last little part of today's session, with me ending off still doing the same thing like a lunatic, running in and getting cut down multiple times. I'm not going to. I'm not going to keep recording the same stuff or put this in the same video. It's already long enough as it is. But yeah, this has been the Shattered Ring, and yeah. I think at this point I also decided I was going to take a break. I'd had enough. But anyway, I will see you guys again in the next episode of the Shattered Ring. Bye!